real good music this year. Some real good music this
I
year.
wonder if Narrative would teach me how to scratch. Scratch is so flawlessly, like.
Oh, you mean?
No, not like that. I scratch record. Oh God, this is going down.
It's very simple.
Yes, do this. I can teach you how to
easy.
scratch.
I don't want to
Just go
like,
so.
not scratch
Yeah,
like that. Me know how to scratch.
It's a challenge to scratch sometime,
It's
you know.
very
but-
easy.
Yeah, just scratch.
Not like scratch music, like when it comes to like.
You want to scratch to the beat?
Scratch. Yeah.
All right, you know what? Forget it. Right.
Yeah.
So
A challenged world is an alert world. Not challenging as scratching yourself, but in continuing the conversation on gender equality, we have to ask, how can we go above and beyond for our women in the workspace? Well, we invite President of Women's Entrepreneurs Network of the Caribbean, Ethne Miller Simpson, to have the conversation. Ms. Simpson, good morning.
good morning, Ethne.
Good morning.
So good to see you.
Hi, Debbie. How are you?
I'm
Hi,
very, very
Gwen.
good. I'm happy you're here.
Thank you.
Yeah, this
And happy post-International Women's Day to you, Debbie.
Same
and
to
thanks for
you.
doing.
Yes,
You know,
and
he's
it's-
always supportive.
Yes, and it's Women's Month. You have a whole
Yes.
month for yourself, so we're celebrating all month.
Yes,
Yeah,
I agree.
This conversation, for the longest time, has happened, is happening, and will continue to happen. Gender inequality. How do we have an open conversation with everyone at the table about it?
Wow, that's a very big question, because having a conversation with everyone, first you have to figure out who everyone is. And that conversation now would now need to include not just policy, but also practice. And what we're finding is that there's quite a bit of work that has been done, but as you said, as you rightly said, you know, it's as though some things are taking longer than we expected to get to that point. So the conversation would need to include policymakers, it includes government, it includes manufacturers, it includes large producers, small producers. It also includes women, because what we found from the data, and I'll share with you in terms of this new UN Women Report, the Women Entrepreneurship Development Report that just came out, we still find that some women are not yet even really taking on the whole thing of gender equality, because it's not being shared at a grassroots level. So the conversation needs to be a multi-stakeholder one. It needs to move from the top of our systems and our societies and our structures right down to the grassroots, to the women who are affected at the grassroots. So for example, talking to farmers, household helpers, and that is the big conversation that really needs to happen.
Absolutely. You know, Ethne, one of the things that we often face as women is when we start talking, it's, oh, here comes another woman having a problem with something else again. Here she comes quarreling again. Here she comes clamoring again. And, you know, it's hard to be listened to and taken on the merit of facts, especially in a boardroom.
Funny that you say that, because I've had that experience in a meeting where we were all stakeholders discussing the entrepreneurship policy, discussing the way forward, discussing data and statistics. And I remember when I brought it up, you know, a gentleman in the room actually said, no, Lord have mercy, Ethne, not again, is the woman thing again. But let me tell you, first and foremost, we have to know ourselves. We have to know our reason for doing this. And in knowing that reason, we're very resolute. And knowing that this is something we have a passion for. This is our life, you know. This is our life. So this is not a product that is outside of ourselves. This is us. So therefore, you have all the conviction in the world to say what needs to be said respectfully, say what needs to be said to all who need to hear it, including those of us who also need to hear it.
Yeah, and what I don't understand is why is it so difficult for us as men to really accept that your point of view as a woman is just as important as our point of view? Because all the time we argue that you're coming from an emotional standpoint, but your point is still relevant. You speak about policy and practice. Those two things, they don't match up to the things that we preach sometimes. And I think that is where the disconnect is happening. And I'm trying to really figure out how can we fix it.
The first thing is understanding how we're socializing our children, how we're socializing both men and women as we grow. So as children, there is no distinction really. And then suddenly one day you wake up at round about teenage years and you're told, no, because you're a girl. And I went through this because my mother said you can't play outside like the boys normally would have. I used to climb trees. I fell off in a pig pen. They had to hose me off. And I had a ball. I have 2 brothers. I have no sister. And then one day mommy said to me, Effie, you have to come inside and put on a dress. Listen to me, all the fun done after that. But it is socializing our children, because in our household, there was no distinction between male work and female work. And my brothers grew up knowing everything that I knew, and I knew everything that they knew. So when you look at how we socialize our children, that's where we really do need to start. 1. 2, that socialization continues right throughout life. So it's not just about what is male work, man work, and woman's work. So take, for example, agriculture. There's really no distinction. What happens is we know there's a physical difference between the physical strength that a man may have and the strength that a woman may have. But I think we need to rebuild our societies to understand that it's really about having a clear pathway that is gender neutral, gender sensitive, and it takes continuous work for us to realize that men have equal place as women. I'll share this with you. Gender mainstreaming is something that we still need to do. We have agencies in Jamaica that will invite some of us to speak, and then they give me a topic like women in agriculture, from taking food from farm to table. And I say to myself, that's a very sexist topic. Nobody really picked it up. And I dealt with it afterwards to say to the organizer, listen, I think you need some help here. Yeah? So it's not being loud about it sometimes. It's quietly making the points and then saying, listen, we still have some work to do here. So getting men to the table, sharing the information, and making men realize that they have a part to play in this as well, because I'm sure you will have daughters. So what kind of environment would you want your daughter to grow up in?
Yeah.
It needs to be a gender sensitive one.
We have to really debunk those stereotypes, you know, and I mean, even with starting Farm Chicks, we've heard of so many women who are in agriculture, who are doing great things, who are employing people, who are utilizing technology as well to give them greater outputs, who are, you know, in the export market, who are doing great. So trust me, like we are breaking some real big boundaries there. So Ethne, and I want to congratulate you on WINCI and for everything that organization is doing, representing the women and, you know, being the voice of reason, you know, in different spaces for us. Thank you so much, Ethne Miller Simpson. Thank you, guys. Now, from challenge comes change. So let's all choose to challenge. Thank you, Ethne Miller Simpson, for giving us, you know, her 2 cents and her voice on the causes that has to do with gender equality. We'll take a short break and we'll come back much more right here on We Can Smile.